Okay, so good morning, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you all had an incredible Pesach and that you were nourished by the matzah and the family and uh, and the time of our liberation. That just as it happened 3,000 something years ago, it will happen always for us. This is a recurring event in the Jewish history. So today the class is sponsored by me. And it's Lilu and Ishmat Ruth Bat Sarah, who was my grandmother, and for Refuah Shelema, Shanit Bat Hagit, Eliyahu Haim, Hanavi Ben Tita Esther, and Tinok Itzak Ben Esther Sarah. Also would like to add all the Kedoshim. Yesterday was Yom HaShoah, and that these souls that had to go through such horrors, and I imagine many of us are reincarnations from them, that they feel the love of the Jewish people, and that you know they were offerings to God, and that in their merit, the Jewish people should continue to grow and strengthen themselves and become what Hashem dreamed about. Okay, so we're still in chapter 2 of the Tanya. I really don't go fast with this. I like to go deep. It's not like a 1, 2, 3 workout. I like to go deep, and that's why it takes us such a long time. But I really my dream is that you all internalize this, and that this is not just a nice class you come to listen to every week, but it's something that it goes inside of you, and that it will transform you to be the best you can be. Okay, so we're chapter 2, and we were talking about the we finish up explaining this allegory, that the way that Hashem brings the souls into the bodies is an allegory of how the father's sperm is created in his brain, and just by the brain of the father, the sperm that is created, obviously it's created, it materializes in the testicles, but it's created in the brain of the father, in the chokhmah of the father, in the wisdom, and it goes down until it conceives a baby. When it attaches to the egg, the connection of the father to that baby is from the head of the father to the toenails of the baby. So imagine like the connection of a child to his father, and this is something that is scientific, comes from the toenail, the most insignificant part of the body, to the brain of the child. It's connected to the brain of the father. So this we were talking about, that for Hashem, every Jewish neshama, this is the same thing, that God created the Jewish people from his Chokhmah. Asilut, Chokhmah of Asilut, the world of emanation. As we've been saying, that there's 4 worlds. There's the world of Asilut, of emanation, world of Beria, which is the world of creation, world of Yetzirah, world of formation, and then we have this world where we live, which it's the world of Asiya, which is a world of action. Okay, so this, imagine, is from the brain to the toenails. Okay, and so the same way Hashem desired the Jewish people. This is a desire he has. He wants us. And from there, he starts emanating this light into this world of Asilut. And there, this light starts trickling down through the worlds, and getting there, each light becomes a single soul. Like it starts coming down, and it starts separating, creating all this. And it starts acquiring different characteristics. Each soul acquires different characteristics until it comes into the body of an individual. So where we ended up saying was that for Hashem, there's souls that come from the head and there's souls that come from the feet. Like we have Jews, all types of Jews. You have Moshe Rabbeinu, Abraham, Isaac, Yaakov. You have these forefathers. These were luminaries. These were people that were chariots of God. And from there down, you have from the elders to the water carriers. You have all types of Jews. You have from the most connected to God to even Jews that deny Hashem. And what it's telling us is that for Hashem, we're all connected to Him. He doesn't care. You're His child. He loves you. And there's something I read yesterday from if I don't know if I'm saying it right, the Kleknitzer Rebbe. Kleknitzer Rebbe? Okay. I hope I did. And he wrote that he misses the Holocaust. And this struck me. And I said, how can someone say he missed the Holocaust? He says, because in the Holocaust, he says, when we were marching to our deaths, every Jew looked the same. Every Jew looked the same. They took off their hair, they shaved their hair, they all looked like skeletons. You couldn't know if it was a woman or a man. Everybody looked the same, like skeletons with skin. And we were walking, and nobody knew who was the other person. Nobody knew I was a Rebbe. He was a Rebbe, not a rabbi, a Rebbe. And the person next to him, he had no idea who he was. And they were all hugging each other. They were walking and they were hugging each other because they all needed warmth. And he said, I miss that. I miss that. And this is exactly what I'm telling you. For Hashem, there's no difference. For Hashem, there's no difference between the Rebbe Lubavitch and us here. For him, we're all part of him. Just as many of you have children, you can have 4 or 5 children. Each one is different. One is the one that comes and helps. The other one is that's crying all day. The other one is always nagging. The other one is organized. The other one leaves everything everywhere, right? But for a mom, you're all the same. Doesn't matter. And the child that gives you the most headaches, that's the one you end up loving the most. In parentheses, it's not that you love the most, but it's the one that you give more of yourself to that kid. You sweat about him, you dream with him, you're thinking 24 hours a day, how I'm gonna help this kid. What do I have to do for this kid? And that's Hashem. So this is what literally we were learning the last time we were here. So it says, it is literally the same as it were with regard to the root of every nefesh, ruach, and neshama of the collective of Israel on high, when the souls descend level by level by means of unfolding progression of the world of Atzilut, emanation, Beria creation, Yetzira formation, and Asiya action from God's wisdom where it originates. The essence and nature of the soul root that originated in the supernal wisdom does not shine at its full strength in every person. Not everybody is a translucent light. You know, not everybody has this beautiful lalique chandelier where you can see the light coming out. Some people have, I don't know, another type of chandelier. The glass is a little thicker. And so it says, just as the Father created material must descend level by level and become clothing garment after garment until it solidifies into a particular physical cell, the divine spark that is the root of every Jewish soul, Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama, undergoes a similar progression, and the divine spark descends and is clothed in the garment after garment until it manifests in the physical body. So in this world, what we see is la carcasa, the chandelier, but you're not seeing the light. When you go into a place where they sell chandeliers, you're looking at the chandeliers, right? Which one will look better in my house? But you're not looking at the light. So at the same way in this world, imagine we're all these beautiful chandeliers walking around, but nobody's looking at the light. And as it is written, in the wisdom have you made them all, and Chokhmah, which is wisdom, is the key to creation. So the wisdom of Hashem, this sephira of wisdom, is the key to creation. In us also, because we have these three intellectual attributes of Chokhmah, Bina, Dat, or wisdom, understanding, knowledge. This is how our intellect functions, right? The wisdom is what creates everything. Like what you have in your wisdom is what's gonna be from you. It starts in that little point. Is imagine a youth that has that little eyelash going up. That's wisdom. That little hook. And then from then on, it starts going down, trickling down. That's Bina. Till it comes to the end, which becomes knowledge. So very interestingly, talking about Chokhmah, about wisdom, I was listening to this girl, Devorah Nussbaum. She has this channel. She talks about Tanya, but she talks about it in a way that, like, psychological way. Like I'm very much into psychology, and she ties it up. She's fascinating. And she was saying that it would be good that we sit down and you give 10, 15 minutes and just let your head go. Like it's a thing. And now that we're in the month of ER, we're coming into the month of ER, it's a month of listening. That's the sense of the month, is to listen. But not only to listen what's going outside of you, listen to what's going inside of you. Because we're in a month of rectification. This is what counting of the Omer, we have to rectify our midot. And so she says that it's a good exercise to think, like imagine it's completely the opposite of meditation, like clear your mind. This is the opposite. It's like sit down and just listen to your thoughts.
I feel like it scares a lot of people.
No, but sit down and listen to your thoughts. See, let your head go and look at what you're thinking. Pay attention to what's going on in your thinking. And it's going to give you a lot of answers. Because in the Chokhmah is what's going to bring everything else. So if you're thinking about scary things that give you fear, or you're always constantly thinking about things that make you angry, or you're constantly judging yourself, right? So she says, like, take these thoughts. I think it's called Yichud in Hasidut. It's called Yichud. It's a practice. I had never heard of it, but she says, like, look at what you're thinking, sit and look at, and then start to put things in categories. And say, okay, I have these thoughts that give me fear. I have these thoughts that give me anxiety. I have these thoughts that make me feel low. I have these thoughts where I'm judging people all the time. I'm blaming others on my misfortunes. Look at your thoughts and categorize them. Put them in a box. And then from there, you're gonna know what's going on in your life.
Interesting. Would you say it's wisdom and then like
Understanding.
Yeah, like isn't wisdom the last step? Like you get knowledge and then wisdom?
The first one is wisdom.
Wisdom and then knowledge?
Wisdom is a flash of insight that comes to you.
Oh.
And this flash of insight usually comes from Hashem. Okay? So if you suddenly have an idea for a business, oh, wow, incredible. Look at these babies. They eat, everything ends up in the floor. I'm going to invent this thing that goes in the table that picks up all the amazing. That's wisdom. And then you start thinking about it. Okay, I have to make different widths because there's different size of tables. What would be the best material?
I think wisdom is like you act on your knowledge.
No, wisdom is the flash of insight. And then understanding then brings you to your knowledge. So in this case that you're thinking about what you're thinking, and you start realizing, okay, you know what? All the time I'm thinking how stupid I am. All day I'm saying, oh, Margie, you're good for nothing. Oh, Margie, my grandmother used to say that to me. You're good for nothing. So today I look at her and say, Babchi, I'm good for something. You're good for nothing. This is how they raised us up. This was this generation. It worked. It was not so bad. It was not so bad. Really, we weren't so offended and we were not so sensitive people. It was fine. I could take it. Uh, and uh, and I'm all day thinking, okay, I'm good for nothing. I can't do anything right. I cook and it gets burned, and I'm chopping an onion and I cut my hand, and then I put the soup to boil and I forget, and then the pot burns. This. So that creates your understanding of yourself. And then it's going to be what you think, your knowledge of yourself. So you have to really be very careful in what thoughts come inside of your head. And so then she says, because this is not where it stops, then she says, then you have to give it the antidote. And you think the antidote would be to say, no, Margie, you're a good person, you're a kind person, no, you're not so stupid. No, that's not the antidote. The antidote is Hashem made me clumsy. For what reason he made me this way? In this moment, I am not mindful, I'm not being able to pay attention. Whatever the reason, if I have ADHD or I have whatever is going on within me that I end up doing these crazy things in the kitchen, why does Hashem give me this nisayon, this test, or this way of being? What do I have to learn from this? Hashem loves me the way I am. He created me. If he gave me this, it's because with this, I can do something incredible. Because he's not going to give you a character trait, a characteristic, just because, with no purpose. There's purpose for everything. So the answer to everything is Hashem loves you. Hashem loves you so much. If Hashem trusts you and he has faith in you, why would you doubt yourself? And this is the antidote. It's always to go to Hashem loves you. Hashem believes in you. Hashem trusts in you. He gave you life. He has you in this world. He gives you the ways to be able to heal whatever you need to heal. He created a whole Midrashat for you to come and learn Torah. That's how much he loves you. So the antidote to everything is Hashem loves you. And this is what the Rebbe is telling us here, that from the Chokhmah, Hashem created us, from his supernal wisdom. This is what's important for him. This is what matters to him. So if this matters to Hashem, it has to matter for us. And so the Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama, as I go back, this is 3 levels of the soul that we have within the body, because we have 5 levels of the soul. The other 2 are Haya and Yehida, which are external of the body. This is, the Nefesh is the, let's say, the behavioral level of the soul, action-based. You have the Ruach, which is emotional, and you have the Neshama, which is the intellectual. He says that the ignorant and those who are inferior come into existence. Through it, the souls descend. Nonetheless, their nefesh, ruach, and neshama are still connected and unified in a wondrous and awesome unity with their original essence and being, which is drawn from supernal wisdom. So imagine, you have the biggest rabbi of the generation, Moshe Rabbeinu, which is perfection. He achieved perfection the last day of his life. He came to the 50th level of perfection. And we have all spectrums of types of people from there down, right? And what he's telling us is that even the lowest of the lowest, the most ignoramus of the Jews, is still connected to his Chokhmah. It's still part of his wisdom. So if there's people in this world that are not so, let's say, sophisticated, is because Hashem willed them. They're part of his will. There's part of the fabric of humanity. It doesn't mean that a person can't grow and become more than what he started with. We all come here to expand ourselves, and everybody has enormous potentials. Everybody has a potential. Nobody is limited, let's say, because the godly soul is eternal. It's infinite. So if we do have this spark of Hashem within us, this neshama elokit, this godly soul, it's a mamish, a piece of God within you. This is your power. This is your power. When you connect to that spark, there's no limits in your life. Nothing is a limit. You can achieve the most incredible things. So even one who has fallen lower than the inferior and ignorant amongst Israel, until there is nowhere else to fall, even the heretic who says that he has no father in heaven has a nefesh, a ruach, and neshama. Even that self-hating Jew that we have a few nowadays, self-hating Jews, that they're hate Jews. It's incredible. Even that Jew, the worst of the worst of the worst, is bounded to his Father in heaven. This is not normal. Like, this is incredible. This is really changes your whole, it shifts everything. Sure.
So in the Torah, there's a couple instances where Hashem says, if you don't do this, you'll be karet, like cut off. So would you say that Jews that do that are cut off, or they're still connected to him?
Look, as explained by the Alter Rebbe, there are 613 mitzvot, right? 248 positive, 365 negative. So imagine that there's the never-ending light, which is Hashem, the Or and Sof, and there's 613 strings falling from this light. And you are attached to every one of these strings when you're born. They're part of your connection to him. So every time a Jew does an avera, does something that goes against Hashem's desire, then that string is cut. Every time a Jew does the mitzvah, the connection is still there. So it's 613 strings. Like, it's not like a person gets karet just because. So, but the beauty is that when a person does teshuvah, and it's a real teshuvah, even if that person ate pork and shrimp and all the horrible things in the world, or he did the worst things in the world, the moment the person does teshuvah, the strings gets a knot. It's like it gets tied, not the straight string, but it has a knot. It reconnects. And if you look at the strings that were perfectly in the same length, suddenly this string that was cut off and the knot was tied shortens. So the beauty of teshuvah is that it brings you back to Hashem closer than before you did the sin. Okay? So there's always a way back. And it says in the Mishnah, in the Pirkei Avot, that every Jew has a place in the world to come. It says, when you start reading Pirkei Avot that we started last week, last Shabbat, it says, every Jew has a place in the world to come. So there's always a way back. Hashem has infinite compassion. That's why people reincarnate. They come to fix whatever they have to fix. Hashem never gives up on anybody. But what karet means is that you disconnect. That's what it is. It's like you cut the thread. So you're not connected anymore. So if a person cuts every thread of the 613 threads, well, there's no connection. But it would have to be like, I don't know, like even the worst person does something good. Even the worst of the worst, maybe he honors his parents. Look at Esav. Esav was the worst of the worst, but he honored his father like with such honor. The Torah makes it specific that it says that nobody honored his father like Esav honored his father. The kibud abayim that he gave his father was exemplary. Okay? So where was I? So these nefesh, ruach, and neshama that are bound and unified, their primary source, which is drawn from the supernal wisdom, whether a person admits or denies the reality of his father, does not change the essential bond between them. It just offers insight into the type of a person he is. It does not change the fact that his father is his father. So a person can deny God his whole life. He can go through 100 years of saying, I don't believe in God, I don't care, I'm not gonna do, I don't believe in Hashem. Hashem is always connected to him. And the reality is that we are the ones that disconnect from God. We're the ones that take that step the other way. But Hashem is always there. He's one phone call away, 613. I tell you, that's the number. 613. You dial that number, you're connected to Hashem. And you can be doing the worst of the worst. And suddenly that day, he says a bracha on his water, boop, he's always again connected. And that's the beauty. It's not all or nothing. I remember when I was growing as a Balshuva, that I became more observant of the Torah. And I remember I used to tell the Rebbetzin, and I said, but I feel such hypocritical. Like on one way, I'm keeping Shabbat, I'm keeping kashrut in my home, but I'm still eating outside in restaurants. Like, better not do anything. Like who am I fooling? What am I doing? And she said to me, no, it's not all or nothing. It's not all or nothing. That you keep Shabbat, that's a mitzvah. In heaven, they have a bank account for you of Averas and a bank account for mitzvot. One doesn't take away from the other. If you keep Shabbat, you keep Shabbat. It's blink a week. Money goes into that bank account. And if that week you did something Lashon Hara, it goes into the other account, but it doesn't take away from that account. So it's not all or nothing. That's the beauty of Torah. That every little thing we do counts as an independent connection to Hashem. So whenever you doubt, like, okay, I'm gonna keep Shabbat this Shabbat, I'm gonna try. Don't doubt it. It counts. It counts. You don't know how much it counts. And the effort that each person puts in every mitzvah they do, that's the value. If something is easy for you, okay, you did it, but it's Hashem loves the heart. There's nothing more valuable to Hashem than a broken heart. When things are hard, that's when the light comes in. I remember when I made my home kosher, I have a lot of silverware because in Colombia, when I got married, there was nothing to give you as a gift. The only thing they produced there was silverware. So I had tons of silverware. And Rabbi Amar came to my house. He boiled everything he had to boil. We threw away everything I couldn't use, the silverware. He boiled the silverware. He took it to the mikvah. By the time he came back, I was exhausted. I think it was 1:00 in the morning. And I just left everything in the boxes. And the next day I said, okay, I'm gonna wash it. When I opened those boxes, so that silverware was green, okay? It had rusted completely, green with red, with yellow, disgusting. And I'm crying. I said, what? I ruined it. What am I gonna do? So I called my mom. Ma, you don't know what happened. The silverware, it's disgusting. Margie, go to Publix, get an anti-tarnish, clean it with the anti-tarnish. It's perfect, nothing bad is gonna happen. Silver is silver, don't worry. So I go to Publix, I'm like 2 days with the gloves cleaning the silverware, and I'm crying and crying and crying. You don't know how much I cried. I really felt I was getting the rust out of my soul. It was such an experience, like you think it's an external experience, was so profound. And I was taking that rust out, but I really felt I was cleaning my soul. And then later I read this beautiful story, I don't remember one of the magazines, about this group of ladies that sat and they learned the Mishlei every week. And there's a passage that we read, I think it's in Yom Kippur, that says that Hashem is like a silversmith. That Hashem is a silversmith, and he's all day with the silver in the hand, and he puts it in the fire, takes it out of the fire, puts it in the fire, looks at it, but never lets go of it. And the women were in this class, they were debating, like, what does this mean that Hashem is like a silversmith, that he's putting the silver in the fire, taking it out? What does this mean? And so one of them said to the friends, you know what? I have a silversmith friend. I'm gonna go to his taller and I'm gonna ask him, what does this mean? So she sits with him and he says, yes, a silversmith, when he's doing silver, he has to mold the silver and it goes into the fire and it gets out of the fire and goes into the fire, gets out of the fire. I said, but can you just throw it in the fire, go have your coffee, come back for the piece? He says, no, it will get ruined. I have to hold the piece. And she says, and when do you know it's ready? He said, when I can see my image in the silver. When I can see my reflection in the silver. So Hashem is putting us in the fire, out of the fire, in the fire, but he's never letting go of us. He's always holding. And when do we know we're ready? When we can see ourselves in him. He can see himself in us. When we live a life where we are reflecting Hashem's light in this world. And that's what it means. So continuing here, that it says the Jewish people of a given generation are, as explained above, a complete structured analog comparable to the human body. It is composed of a head, the leaders of the generation, as well as those who correspond to the feet and the toenails of the nation. Every limb connected on two levels. It works in conjunctions with the mind, and the rest of the limbs are component of the entire bodily structure, and it's also directly bound to the primary creative force that originates in the Father. In light of this, the Father's life force exists equally in every limb, yet it is manifest in the head more than in the feet. The feet, the arms, and the rest of the limbs are subjugated to the mind from which they receive their vitality. So the whole body, the head is the control center of the body. We learned this in Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the first day of the year. It's the head of the year. So the control center of the body is the head. You cannot move a hand if the head doesn't send the message to the hand to move. You need that connection. I had Bell's palsy last year, still struggling with it. And it's that half of your face gets paralyzed because of a virus. And we have a doctor here, and you have I think it's 7 to 10,000 neurons that connect the nerves to the muscle that allow your face to move and to blink and to smile and to still they're like holding on. So it's unbelievable. These neurons, they have a myelin that surrounds them. It's like a cable. Like when you have a cable, you don't have the cable exposed. You have this thing that covers it, that protects it. So this myelin, what happens? It gets destroyed by this virus. It gets destroyed. So all these neurons don't send the signal to the nerve to send the signal to the muscle. So your face is completely paralyzed. It falls, it drops. You can't move it. It's a horrible feeling. And so the same way, the head is the one that sends these signals to the whole body for it to move. And so what he's doing here, he's telling the analogy that the Jewish people are a whole body. We're a whole body. The heads of the Jewish people are the ones that send the signals to the Jewish people. That's why they say that the generation is as strong as their leaders. If the leaders are weak, the generation is weak. If the leaders are strong, the generation is strong. Because everything comes from the top. My husband always says, culture comes from the top. If you go to a restaurant and you're not well treated, culture goes from the top. If you go to a place and everybody's super nice and super helpful, comes from the top, from the person that manages the place. So the same way, the dynamic between the Jewish people and the leaders that's the dynamic. So we would be compared to the feet. This generation that we're now, it's the heels. We're the heels of the heels of the times of Mashiach. We're the heels. And this in the Sefirot would be Malhut. It's incredible. It's the Malchut, which you have Hesed, which is love and kindness, and you have Gebura, which is discipline, boundaries, justice. You have Tiferet, which is harmony, beauty, compassion. You have Netzach, which is resilience, victory, infinity. You have Hod, which is humility. Yesod is bonding, foundation, union, and then you have Malchut. The Malchut of each world is the Keter of the next world. So the Malchut of the world of Asilut, which is a world of emanation, would be the crown, the top of the world of Beria. So this world that we're in, this world of Asiya, of action, the Malchut of this world is the highest. And that's what Hashem wants, the action, the behavior. This is what's the most important. So we're the heels of the generation. Okay, we might sound like we're the lowest of the body, but in reality, we're the ones that are going to bring Mashiach. This generation is the one that's going to bring Mashiach. And that's that you have to understand. You have a very big job. with how to say, with privilege comes responsibility. I know that this generation hates that word privilege. It's like a sin to say it. But in reality, privilege brings responsibility. If you're a privileged human being, you were born in a beautiful home, you were brought up with good values, you had a good education, you have food in your table, a roof on your head, and all the gifts that the world can give you, you have more responsibility than anybody else. That's what it means. So it's not a sin. It's a sin if you don't act on it. But if you're a person that can do a change in the world and bring the best to the world, you're obliged to do it. It's your responsibility. So this path of connection does not just flow to and from the head, but in certain sense courses between all organs. As long as a limb is connected to the body, it interacts with all other organs. The suffering of one limb necessarily must affect every other organ in some way, given the reciprocal flow between them. I tell you, this Bell's palsy. I get pain in my neck. I get pain in my back. All because of the face. What does the face have to do with the neck? What does the face have to do with my back? Like, because yes, you're trying to balance it out and everything in your body starts getting moved in a different way, and then you start getting pains everywhere. One little thing like affects the whole. And so, yet the degree to which each limb senses the pain and pleasure of all others is not the same as that of the head. The connection between the organs is not a conscious one, while the head is actually aware of this bond, and it is that awareness that makes it worthy of being a head. So how do we get the connection to God? How do we get there? If we're the feet, how are we even dreaming about getting the sustenance from Hashem? Is through grabbing onto the heads of the generations. And that's why we learn from the tzaddikim. This learning from the Alter Rebbe every week connects us to the Alter Rebbe. And by us connecting to the Alter Rebbe, we get that energy flow from the head down. And that's the way we do it. That's why when you go to the Ohel and pray to a tzaddik, and you write a letter or whatever, you're not praying to a tzaddik. You're not praying to the tzaddik. That's Avodat Zarah, 100%. In the merit of the tzaddik, please, Hashem, listen to my prayer. I beg you, please, in his merit, please listen to me. And it's in the merit of the tzaddik that our prayers are answered. That's why it's so important to pray for men to pray in a minyan, because you never know in which person in the minyan has the sechut for the prayers of all the other 9 to be answered. We never know who has a sechut. And by learning here, all of us, we don't know which tzaddik is in here that's going to raise all of us up. But that's why it's so important for Jewish people to be united, to be together, to keep it together, because one pulls the other one up. The one that's here is gonna pull everybody here. The one that's here is gonna be pulling everybody down. But if you have the balance between the two, then we'll be able to get in the middle. Will not be down, and okay, we'll climb up. But the sehut of a person brings the whole Jewish people up. One mitzvah that one person does can raise everybody up. That's why the Rebbe says that we don't know the value of a mitzvah. We don't even understand what it is. It's so big. One little thing a person does, a person that never put on tefillin, suddenly is putting on tefillin. You never know. That act saves Israel from a missile ballistic whatever falling on Israel. One person that decided to do a mitzvah. It's not necessarily the Hachamim. It's a general, simple Jew like us that shift the scales. It changes everything, okay? So I'm gonna leave it here because it's 12 and I think you have another class. Thank you. Any other questions? No, it's my honor.